Hey, what's up everybody? Jake here and welcome to the hobby. Oh boy, 5 months ago I did a video titled I was wrong and we are nowhere near the top of the hobby. And now that we are in 2026, it's very clear that that video where I said I was wrong is turning out to be right, which is we are nowhere near the top of the hobby. And we are currently experiencing the largest TCG boom of our lifetime, which is a really ridiculous statement because there was already a TCG boom in the late 90s and the early 2000s, and this one is going to completely eclipse the one from 20 to 30 years ago. Wow, how wild is that? I am currently in the middle of it. We're experiencing it together. And at this point, you and I are kind of observers. There's really nothing I can say or do or anything that any of us can do to stop this train. There are so many cogs in the machine. There's so much fuel in the engine pushing the TCG industry forward that it currently cannot be stopped. This bubble or this period of hype and mania, whatever you want to call it, it is not stopping anytime soon. We are currently probably in a multi-year bull run. It's going to be kind of wild how much things are going to change in the TCG space over the next couple of years. There's going to be new TCGs popping off left, right, and center. Some TCGs are going to die out, and it'll be interesting to see which ones those are. They're going to compete for our attention. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the pros and cons of that in today's video, as well as why is this happening? How did this occur? Where is this all coming from? And a biggest part of that is that there are so many more players in the game right now. From big name celebrities to famous influencers, live streamers, rip and shippers, whoever you want to call it, there are so many people in the business right now. There are new money being injected to the hobby at an extreme rate. There's just so much money being pumped into the hobby right now from hedge funds and different VCs. It's kind of ridiculous. Last year in 2025, I went to 5 different pitch meetings for different companies that are currently entering the TCG space, and that is 5 more pitch meetings than I've ever been to in my whole entire life. I'm not a part of any of them. I was just in those calls, and it's kind of wild that there's just so much innovation and business currently happening in the TCG space, and you might hate that, you might love that. It's just a wild time. So let's talk about some of the pros, because believe it or not, there are pros in this. The first one is that there's just a ton more collectors. I've never seen as many TCG collectors than there are now. There's just so many people collecting Pokemon cards, One Piece, whatever you want to call it. There's just so many TCGs out there, and there are a ton of people collecting cards right now. Business is booming for the mom and pop shop if you can find products, but there are just so many different TCGs. I know card shops out there that specialize in like one TCG. They couldn't get any products of Pokemon, they couldn't get any products of One Piece. They were able to get like a little bit of Magic. So all that they did was they started doing Lorcana locals. For 6 to 8 months straight, they couldn't get products of One Piece or Pokemon or Riftbound. So all they did was Lorcana locals because that's all that they could afford. And just off Lorcana locals, they were able to survive off of one TCG. And that's just one, smaller size TCG too. Forget about all the other ones. So it's kind of wild right now. And there's a ton of money in the space. And that's why you're probably seeing new card shops popping off every single week. Not only that, but there's just so many more new businesses appearing in the space, right? There's people out there who their whole entire job is to build displays for your Pokemon cards. There are people out there who are building shelves and cabinets to store your products, and there are people that are building card protectors and box protectors, and people whose job it is to clean and refurbish vintage cards. There are so many people out there who their job and their livelihood depend on the TCG industry and the TCG hobby, and these jobs did not exist 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, most of them didn't exist 2 years ago. So that shows how much the industry has completely changed. And I'm actually okay with that. I consider that a pro because I'm okay with the robustness of the hobby. There's just so many more choices for what trading cards you currently want to collect. And there's just a lot of options out there, which is kind of great. I am a gates wide open kind of guy. I'm not a gatekeeper, which is why the tagline for our channel is welcome to the hobby, because I want everyone to collect Pokemon cards. I want everyone to collect TCG. I think this is a super cool, fun, and really enriching hobby, and I want everyone involved. And if everyone in the world starts collecting Pokemon cards tomorrow, then yes, it's going to be a really painful experience for those of us that have been around for a long time. So I'll at least say that a big pro is that there's just a ton more people collecting cards, and there's a ton more variety of cards, and the industry is so robust that if you want to accomplish anything at all, there's currently someone that's currently doing it, right? There are people that are painting over cards and selling them, and that's their whole entire business. So it's feeding artists. There are people out there whose whole entire job is to build really gorgeous and cool displays, and it's feeding them too, which is all really, really solid. There's just so much more money in the hobby that there's a variety of things to do. And at the same time, that's a big con. What does that cause? It causes prices to rise on sealed products, which is, I think, the biggest complaint that any collector currently has right now. And it's an incredibly fair complaint because, for instance, I'm unable to get any One Piece product, so I haven't ripped open any One Piece or collected any One Piece in like the past 3 or 4 months, and that's completely okay too. Like, it sucks that I can't rip any of it open. It sucks that it's all overpriced, but I'm okay just not buying it. You know, there's other choices out there. I'm experiencing other TCG, and that's okay with me because I collect plenty of other stuff. I have plenty of different avenue channels for enriching my hobby, so I'm okay just having some different pain points. And that is absolutely the biggest con, is that when there's this massive injection of money into the hobby, it actually sucks it out for a lot of the smaller casual collectors, is that someone out there, like a big hedge fund who just started a brand new massive rip and chip industry, they can just spend $100 million to buy a bunch of sealed products for their business, and that leaves a lot less room for the little guy. If you feel frustrated by that, it's extremely fair. The other big con is when there's a massive injection of money, then there's just so much more room for fraud. Whenever there's money involved, fraud is not super far behind, and that includes everything from scams, liars, to people who are robbing people blind, people who are breaking into card shops, people out there that are trying to steal your collection or sell you fake cards because there's just so much money in the hobby right now. There are so many different cards that I would never consider picking up unless I was an expert in certain cards, like the Great Felt Hat Pikachu. I would never buy this card raw unless it has some kind of authenticity guarantee around it, because the odds of you getting a fake Great Felt Hat Pikachu right now is extraordinarily high because this card is really expensive and it's not that hard to fake. The card doesn't have any texture, it doesn't have any hollow pattern. If you get a good quality printer and some thick card stock, you could probably replicate the Great Felt Hat Pikachu very easily, and that is super risky and it's really unfortunate. But when there's a massive injection of business into anything, fraud, scams, and just a ton of tomfoolery will follow it, which is really annoying because it's really hard to trust anything right now in the hobby. I'm really cautious with my money. I'm holding it really close. There aren't a ton of deals that I'm willing to do out there. If I'm buying a card, I'm double checking, triple checking it to make sure that I'm buying my booster boxes, I'm putting pre-orders into the correct reputable stores, and I'm not buying cards from anything that is even slightly shady. So if I were you, how would I currently navigate this space? You know, when there's so much money into the hobby, when there's so little product, if you're a casual collector, if you're someone that has been collecting for a long time, if you're someone that wants to still continue to enjoy the hobby, what should you do? You know, I'll give you some basic advice. You know, what I would do, FOMO. Never let FOMO take over. You know, don't feel like you're missing out on something. There's never been more choices of what you can do. So if one door closes right now, especially in the TCG space, 10 more is currently opening. Guess what? I wasn't able to go to my local One Piece regional because the Bandai Card Fest completely sold out. I'm going to the Riftbound regionals in 2 weeks. I'm just going to enjoy that instead. There's tons of other doors. If you're someone of an opportunist, then there's so much opportunity in this space. If you're willing to hustle, if you're willing to do business, there are so many different industries that are requiring your skill set and what you can do. If you have a strong personality, if you're super sociable, there are so many TCGs and card shops and businesses that want you to be a part of their marketing, that want you to be a part of their social team, that want you to expand their reach. And if you're someone that's a little bit more recluse, if you have data analysis experience, if you're someone out there that does engineering, there are so many different software companies, there's so many different grading companies, there's so many different industries that are currently building the top end live streaming platform, building AI into grading, building all kinds of unique tools for people to catalog their collection, to build their TCG empires, you know? So there are a ton of different opportunities out there. If you want to start a business right now and be a part of the TCG hobby, I'll at least say it's a really exciting time because there's a lot of room right now to get that kind of like money injection or that business started because everyone's currently looking for a piece of it. If you have a business idea right now, there's just plenty of opportunities in the space, which is kind of neat that if you want to make the hobby something that you can do full time, it's so much easier now than it was 5 or 10 years ago. If you wanted to open up a card shop 5, maybe 10 years ago, it was a death sentence. A card shop in 2015 was a death sentence. You would have immediately closed door within 1 year. But yeah, right now, some card shops will close. You know, after this massive bull run is over, we are not going to have 50 card shops. It's just not possible for things to sustain the same level as like a Starbucks. You know, there's currently like a card shop next to every single Starbucks, but at a certain point, I do think that number has to dwindle down. The best card shops will survive, and that's okay too. You know, if you have a strong community, if you have loyal customers, if you're someone out there that's willing to do business very easily, then yeah, your card shop is probably going to survive, and other ones that are less innovative or less strategic or less competitive are going to close down. So if you're someone out there with a creative idea, it's a really cool time for you. What if you don't want to be a part of any of that? What if you just want to collect a couple of cards and that's really it? If that someone is you, I would say be patient. There are still a bunch of really cool cards to collect, and I am very patient. My collection from the Sword and Shield era, the Scarlet and Violet era, is pretty weak. I don't really have a strong collection from Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield, and that pretty much makes up the past 6 or 7 years. What I've been collecting are cards that are older than that. I've been collecting a bunch of cards older than that. I have some cards from the Sword and Shield era. I have some cards from the Scarlet and Violet era, but not a ton. You know, most of those cards are actually still within my price range in terms of affordability, and they're still pretty readily available. So I haven't felt a rush or strong need to collect cards from the past 6 or 7 years. I'm collecting stuff that's older, and I'm being patient with that as well. I've seen card prices that have been jumping 20, 30, 40, 50% over the past couple of months, and I'm just saying no. I'm not going to buy a card that just jumped up 50%. I'm going to try to hunt it down, and that's part of the joy of the hobby for me, is taking months, maybe years, to search for 1 or 2 specific cards. It's a slow journey. There are many pieces in my collection that I've been hunting for years, and I'm okay waiting until the time is right to collect them. Don't have to experience FOMO. If you're really, really patient, the hobby's not going anywhere. Certainly not right now. We are in a multi-year bull run. TCG's here to stay for quite a while. Even after things die down, I don't think every TCG is going to go out of business. Most of the big name TCGs will continue to ride out the wave of the bear market that will happen who knows when, 5, 10 years from now, who knows. But if you're someone that's collecting TCG, you're probably here for life. And yeah, you're going to be enjoying collecting this for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Then this experiences of this specific hype, it would be something that I would say enjoy as much as you can and just come along on this ride and journey, because neither you or I are going to be able to stop this train right now. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on 2026, because if you thought last year was kind of wild, I think this year is probably going to be more wild, and we're not going to stop this anytime soon. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.